it has to be Brian Kelly. Normally, over the last 2 years that we saw, spent probably 90% of his time with the offense. You never really saw him coming over to the defensive side of things. Now, guys, every time that I've been there, that's where his main focus is watching the DBs, watching the linebackers, getting in tune with the defensive line. That is where we've seen him the most. What does that tell me? Now, this is just an opinion and an observation. My opinion and observation is Brian Kelly knows that defensively, yeah, you got to get better, right? You got to get better. But you got to be better for a lot of different reasons. Number one, Jaden Daniels isn't walking through that door to save you next year. Now, can Garrett fill his shoes? Abso-freaking-lutely he can. Abso-freaking-lutely he can. I'm not saying that he can't. Now, in the running game, he can't. But in other ways, maybe he could. But Jaden Daniels bailed you out so many times last year. This year, you're going to have your defense step up. He is locked in defensively, meaning Brian Kelly, on all the position groups. From a philosophy standpoint, this is the second time that we've seen both outside backers or one DN and an outside backer standing up on the edge with Kevin Peoples. Today, that was Paris Shand on the far left end, and then Deshaun Womack on the blind side, outside linebacker, the jack position in. Something that's interesting there. They were in a four-man front, but two guys standing up. Major Barnes down again on the line of scrimmage, just being kind of a little bit of a, I use the word of a pest, because he's going to blitz. He's going to be in the flat. He's going to trail guys in the running game. I just think that they're going to be in your face, fast and physical. Another observation with the defense, especially at end. They are going to do everything they can to contain the outside perimeter. Last year, LSU couldn't contain anything. Everybody, if they wanted to run outside zone, guys, it could have gone easily to the house at any given moment. Now, LSU would get busted inside with inside zones and things like that. But LSU containing, Ole Miss in particular, they had a really bad performances in doing that. I don't know if you have as big of an issue as you did a year ago. I also expect Braden Swinson to be involved there again. I think the biggest thing from the defensive line, or the four that you will see there, to me, the biggest observation was Paris Shand being a stand-up in and at times having his hand in the dirt. I don't know where they're going to put him. I don't know if that's a full-time thing. But having Kevin Peoples there really makes me feel a lot more comfortable about what you're doing out at that linebacker spot, at that outside spot. Another thing, he is not wasting time, meaning Kevin Peoples, on teaching new moves. I think that there was a time today where Deshaun Womack was doing a drill where he's trying to get to the quarterback and he gets washed out of the play. He stops. He gets to Deshaun Womack. He shows him something that he wants to do for next time. It was like he would try to rip on the outside. He got washed out. He told him to, he was teaching him, break down. I want you to spin back in to get back to the quarterback. They're not wasting time. I don't think that Kevin Peoples was wasting time. If they did something wrong, he was teaching them. He's not letting it just go past. Another big observation. And being very hands-on with Deshaun Womack, because I think he knows what he has there in the former five-star. Paris Shand is very interesting to me, because I do think from a defensive end that you played last year, not an outside guy, but a 5 and sometimes 3 technique, you could make the argument that Paris Shand was your most consistent guy throughout the season and probably should have seen more playing time. Well, he's going to see it now because he's in that starting one rotation, the Arizona transfer from a year ago. We've seen multiple different things that they're doing along the D-line. They've gone 4 down. They've gone odd man. They've had 2 guys standing up. They've been in what looks to be like more of a 3-3-5. I mean, they're doing everything humanly possible. They're not staying in one defense that we have seen. Now, we can go out there on Saturday, and they are, and you can't really, make heads or tails of it, of what they're doing, because you're so close up on them at times. But right now on the defensive line, they're being very multiple. Okay. Excuse me. At linebacker today. So one thing that I thought was interesting in what was considered LSU's 4-down linemen. So in practice one, we saw them more in an odd man front. Today, we saw them more in a 4-man front. The two guys standing up, guys, those are rushers. Those are edge guys. There's going to be very rare time that those dudes are out in coverage. Paris Shand is not going out in coverage. I don't even think Deshaun Womack is. Today, though, with the 4-down linemen or on-ball line guys, the two inside backer was Greg Penn, who we got to speak to today, and Harold Perkins. Let's make some observations about linebacker. Number one, I think that Greg Penn was right today, and when he said that I think that we are flying more to the ball than we did last year. Last year was more everybody has to be schematically correct, and if you're not, the chink in the armor breaks. Where now is see ball, get ball, the entire defense. We'll get back to that in just a quick second, and I'm going to talk about this during the linebackers. They're going to give Harold Perkins another chance here in the inside. Now, I do think that you could tell that Perk is putting on a little bit of weight, especially in his lower body. I think that he's looked a lot more comfortable there than he did this time last year. Every time that I saw Perkins go to a drill, Blake Baker followed. Now, the question becomes, just how hands-on is he going to continue to be during the spring? I would anticipate, since we've seen him be very hands-on with him, that will continue. The question that I have here is that going to be where he ultimately ends up? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I do think they're going to utilize him in a lot of different ways. But today, in the inside, it was Harold Perkins Jr. and it was Greg Penn. And when Perk would do something else, like he would go on the outside, he would be in the slot or blitzing on one play that we saw, it was Whit Weeks that came in for Perkins. So I think you've got a lot of different things that you're looking at here schematically that they're trying to do. Okay? A lot of different things that they're trying to do. But that right now is going to be your two inside backers. I like Greg Penn a lot. I thought that Greg got a lot of flack that was unwarranted on him last year, mainly due to Matt House, which, by the way, did y'all see this? We posted this last night. Matt House blocked us on Twitter. What a freaking Rudy poo. What a freaking Rudy poo. Why would you block us? Maybe it's his wife. I don't know. But I think Greg Penn gets better under Blake Baker. I'm going to be interested to see a little bit more of that. Didn't get enough on Penn today because I was so focused on Harold Perkins. Here's another thing that I observed. In pass coverage, they are giving Greg Penn more responsibility than Perkins. What do I mean? They are giving, at least what we have observed today in a new defense, they are giving Perk one responsibility: see ball, get ball. Hey, we want you to cover this. We want you to be instinctful and go after it. Don't play this fundamental BS. See ball, get ball. Now, you got to play fundamentals. You got to play scheme. You got to play technique. Guys can't be out of position. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is I do think that this is more of an attacking style. Hey, Perk, we want you to play the middle. Okay, we're going to have a free, be in the middle of the field, play an overall spy. Now, that's what he was doing in coverage all day today, and then I thought that he looked better than we've ever seen him in that position in some of the running game drills. Let me get to this because I do think that it affects the linebackers. Last year, you remember the argument, and a lot of you were pissed off about this. I was as well, was how far off of the ball that this defensive line played at. The schematics behind what LSU tried to do last year was They wanted their defensive line to catch blocks in the running game, hold on the blocks, let the linebackers flow and make the tackle, and stay in your lane. Like your boy in Wild Now, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. That's not what they're going to do here. I do think that benefits the backers even more, that you can attack and be instinctive, because in the running game, everything that they're working on right now is not catching blocks. It's getting upfield. Don't let that offensive lineman keep his hands on you. Shed your blocks, get upfield, make the play. Now, don't get out of your lane, but don't let him continue to block you and let the zone blocking schemes wash you out of the play. So what do I mean by this? Basically, if you're a 3 technique and you are in between the tackle and the guard, we want you to go straight through that gap and attack. We don't want you holding on the block so the linebackers can make plays. We want you to attack upfield and be disruptive. That is how the game of football is played in today's society. The only team in college that has had success with their defensive line catching on the blocks or holding on the blocks and letting their linebackers make plays. The only 2 teams in the last 10 years that has had success in doing that, Alabama and Georgia, mainly due to the fact that they had better defensive lines than you. You can't do that. You have to be disruptive. You have to get TFLs. You have to get after the quarterback. I like what they're doing here. So I thought that was interesting. Number 2, last year we played a lot of free 2 high safety. So both safeties being and mainly just deep cover third coverage. What I don't like about that is it limits you on things that you can do schematically. When a quarterback sees too high and a guy like Major Burns, that's back there and is out of position, they're licking their chops in doing that. Hold on one second. I do like that they have gone to a single free high safety. That was mainly given to Jordan Gilbert, the Texas A&M safety that transferred. Something that I think is interesting and that we will continue to monitor. Major Burns is on the line of scrimmage, and I've seen scenarios where he's blitzed. I've seen scenarios where he's been in the flat. I've seen scenarios where he's been more of a hybrid linebacker role, that star position. I do think that that's the best position for him. Being out in coverage is not going to benefit him well. It just isn't. I do think that they have told him where they think that he is going to play best, and he has taken on that role and responsibility. Last year at this time, I thought that we saw a lot of chatter from Major Burns. I got to be real with you. I haven't really seen much. I've seen locked in and focused. The chatter from the defense has kind of stopped. What I've observed from this unit is mainly, I mean, they've been chattering, don't get me wrong. But I think that there's been a message sent to them, hey, man, none of that BS until you start making stops. Today they did. You saw LSU posted Ashton Stamps with a good PBU. At corner, I thought that this was the most aggravated that I'd ever seen Corey Raymond. Now, this is coming not just for this season, but ever, to be honest with you. I've never seen Corey Raymond this aggravated at a unit. I think that he is upset with the technique. I think that he is upset with guys not getting it after being told what to do after multiple times. And I will tell you, I do think that Corey feels like he's more on a shorter leash. And Brian Kelly was watching him like a hawk again today, or that unit again, not him, but watching that unit again today like a hawk. When we were out there, the whole chatter up on the top was, man, Brian Kelly watching the DBs again. Well, shit, yeah, he is. Shit, yeah, he is. They are continuously They are going through man-to-man principles. Now, do they run zone? Obviously, they're going to have to run zone. They're going to do different things. Everything that we've seen that they are working on a fundamental standpoint, their baseline fundamental standpoint. Can you cover man-to-man coverage? Can you beat the guy that you're lined up against? It's going to be interesting on Saturday to see how things start transpiring. I am very fired up for Saturday to be there for the whole practice. All right, I've saved the defense for last. Defensive line for last. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Bo Davis. Now, the question becomes, does he have the personnel? And I don't think that Bo Davis can come in here and make water into wine with some of the personnel limitations that he has. But he is not going to sit. He is going to develop the shit out of what he has. I love Jamar Cain. I do. I think that he was on path in helping this unit out in a great way. But I do think that from a technician standpoint, I just like what I've seen out of Bo Davis more than anybody else. I like what Jamar teaches from a technical aspect as well. I think they're right there up with each other. But Bo Davis has been in this game for a long time, a very long time. And, man, quite honestly, he is on that D-line's ass. And you can hear him wherever he is. They even kind of put him over in the corner, you know, the back left corner of the indoor facility. Probably for a right reason, because when he's yelling, it's going to echo. I'm going to re-say what I said about the D-line. It seems like that they want to be disruptive. It seems like that they want to get upfield and make plays. They got to do that. I just don't know if he has good enough personnel right now that we can judge him. He's going to have to hit the portal in this spring period. He's also going to have to really recruit well and develop well. And I think that he can do that. The bottom line for me is I just don't think you're good enough right there, good enough at that position group right now. Let's see what Saturday unfolds. But what happens when you get a Don McKinley in here? And Gabe Relaford is not working any in the interior. He has been with the outside backers. He has been with Kevin Peoples. There was a time he rotated in with Bo Davis, I think, because there was a good dynamic between Peoples and Davis where Relaford was not